Thank you so much. I'm honored to be among you today. My name is Oladosu Adenike. I'm the founder of I Lead Climate that specializes in peace, security, equality in Africa, especially the Lake Chad region. I'm an ecofeminist and a climate justice activist and also an eco-reporter. I'm a Nigerian. And today, in our world today, the voice of our environment matters a lot in defining humanity. The COVID-19 has shown to the world that the voice of our environment has an equal or greater right to be heard as that of humans. That is, the state of our planet is central to human rights. This implies that a healthy democracy means a healthy environment and the vice versa. Climate change is overwhelming our infrastructures, and there are some damages that cannot be reversed, just like the melting of the iceberg. Climate change is the only single threat that could end humanity. There are no profits when we can't live in an habitable planet or when we spend the profits to deal with its loss and damage. Also, building climate resilience while emissions keep rising is not sustainable, and it is equal to no work done. Sometimes I wondered, isn't climate change a reality enough? The current capacity to build on this impact is not sufficient compared to the reality on ground. Have you thought of a world where you turn on your tap but could not find water? Have you thought of a world where your house is no longer a safe place because it has been swept away by flood or heat wave? Have you thought of a world where money is no longer valuable? Likewise, have you thought of a world where it becomes nearly impossible for us to grow crops? These are our current realities. Gradually, climate change is tearing the world apart and could lead to deglobalization since its impact knows no boundaries, because climate change has no respect for our human rights. I advocate for the restoration of Lake Chad that have shrunk by 90% since 1960s. This is also the region where climate change is leading to armed conflicts. I am afraid that climate change could be the only single threat to our diversity because it can lead to possible ethno-religious war. I schooled in the food basket of the nation in Nigeria, where the clashes between farmers and herdsmen has become a nightmare in the bid for resource control. Just to tell you about an incident that happened while I was in my first year in school as an undergraduate student. All of a sudden, I saw people running, some towards the hostel, while some towards the River Benue and other areas around the school. This is an environment that is new to me, of which I barely know anyone, so I don't know where to run to, and I was surprisingly fearless. Still in my hostel, at the window, watching as the event unfolds, I had people pointing fingers at the existing crisis between the farmers and the herdsmen, but turned out to be a robbery attack at the ATM stand. I see that as an anxiety, a fear of the unknown of what is next. Though I grew up being used to the herdsmen moving their cattle around, but in recent times, it has taken another route because the farmers and the herdsmen need intercepts. The vegetative landscape, the climatic condition, and the water they both need. Yet, these resources are shrinking while climatic pattern is becoming unpredictable. Since we are an agrarian society, the displacement of farmers eats hard mostly on food security. Generally, the world experiences climate change differently, but we are all faced with a single resultant impact of its displacement and human migration. of which uncontrollable displacement and human migration is a disruption to our democracy and culture. In a school of thought, one believes that migration results from the failure to adapt to climate change, while the other believes that migration against climate change is in itself an adaptation strategy. But there is a meeting point to both schools of thoughts, which is the survival of the fittest. To us, climate change is a life and death issue where temperatures are rising more than 5 times the global average. Formerly, Sahara was once known as the Green Sahara, but now it is the world's largest and hottest desert. Same as the mega Chad lakes that have dried out due to several droughts, and now we are almost at the edge of losing Lake Chad, which bonds Nigeria, Chad, Cameroon, and Niger. According to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the greatest single impact of climate change could be on human migration, with millions of people displaced by shoreline erosion, coastal flooding, and agricultural disruption. The future flow of migration could become a driver of new conflict, as it is now in Nigeria, and where countries that have never experienced conflict will start experiencing one or more. A latest report stated that 86 million people could become climate migrants in Nigeria and other sub-Saharan countries by 2050. The prediction of the future flow of migrants to becoming 200 million by 2050 is becoming a reality. Addressing climate change in Africa, especially in Nigeria, we have a far-reaching impact in reducing the number of economic migrants coming or crossing dangerous paths to Europe and Northern America. This will further protect the global economic systems. Our recent work at the ILEAD Climate Action Initiative on Peace and Conflict Resolution in the Lake Chad region has been able to successfully map out areas of safe zone in the Lake Chad region whilst advocating for the lake to be restored as a key to peace and not military action. As we also bring more Africans on board in solving the defining issue of our time. Now we keep demanding for green recovery, yet we are seeing more investment in fossil fuel. The waves of climate change are unequal. What the world is currently witnessing is one of the several waves of climate emergencies. The next wave might be deadlier than this. What will it take the world to act on climate change now? How many more lives needs to be lost before we act on the climate crisis? It's never a choice to be a refugee, neither is it a choice to cross difficult terrain. Climate change crisis has shown itself as a major disaster that it is difficult for humans to quarantine or isolate from. Yet we are in the 6th mass extinction. Raising more promises is not what will save our planet. Rather, more actions we need. If you are not impacted by the effects of climate change, your next generation might be. This unprecedented time calls for us all to be united behind the science. So whatever we do this decade will determine the future of humanity as a whole. More so, we can use different means to inspire climate action, which is why we are all here today. For every bit of the roles played, it is a reality of what we are faced today. Just to remind us all that we can neither isolate nor quarantine from the impact of climate change. So the time to act is now. Thank you.